Why do people always assume that aliens are smarter than us?
Yeah, okay. Every time anybody mention aliens, they always assume that they are higher intelligence. How could that possibly be? All we're seeing of them is travel. The first dimension, a first dimensional object, we've all came from a zero dimension. We came from a thought, and we started as a single cell organism. And in the 2D, it's like pieces of paper having a drawing on them. And we jumped out of that paper, now we're in the 3D, going through the fourth dimension of time. My thought is that these beings are not coming from a higher dimension, that they're coming from the 2D. They're drawings that are trying to become 3D objects.
I think it can be all things that we're seeing. There could be two-dimensional beings recognizing the third dimension, and because they're recognizing us, we're recognizing them. It could be that they were always here. They're just falling into our spectral vision. And I think the reason that people think they're smarter is because they have this incredible travel, but we don't know if they actually have this incredible travel or they're just coming in and out of our awareness. That's why they move so fast, move so quickly. I think it could be a number of things, but I think it's very interesting to, for a moment, have the idea that maybe they are not more intelligent than us, that maybe they are just coming into our awareness or breaking into the third dimension.
They may be very intelligent when it comes to the second dimension, because can you imagine yourself for a second being a piece of art? Can you imagine yourself being in a second dimension? It's really hard to imagine yourself being a two-dimensional being, but you were at one point.
Right.
You were one point at one point. So to have the knowledge of that area makes you very smart in that dimension. However, we're not, it depends on the perspective that you have at the moment. And if we're talking about how are they intelligent, I'm not saying that they are not intelligent, and I'm not saying that they are smarter than us in any way. I'm saying that every time that we think about aliens or interdimensional space travelers, we think of them as having like superior intelligence to us. When I don't believe that that's the case, I think that they're coming from a dimension that we have also came from. They are us in a different timeline.
Yeah, and that was something we discussed too. Is that they could be us from the future. They could be us from the past. It's an idea that's explored throughout film a lot, like in Insidious or Lake Mungo, like the whole idea of a doppelganger, somebody coming back to tell you something, or what was the other one that I mentioned?
Interstellar.
Interstellar. How he's communicating with his daughter through space and time in the Rosen Bridge. If you haven't seen those movies, you should probably watch them because they're fucking cool. But we and there's different types of intelligence. We don't know what kind of intelligence they have. If you come at intelligence from strictly a logical perspective, then you're not really looking at the full spectrum of intelligence, because where one is more emotionally intelligent, the other can be more intelligent logically. But also, there are people that have been more intelligent when it comes to the spiritual aspect of things. And all of those things require some sort of an ascension process. It's like some people believe that the pyramids were built telepathically,
I
and that
believe
they
that.
were that they were very intelligent people, but they wanted to be one with nature. Where you look at our technologically advanced society that is not at all one with nature, does not exist in nature at all, they would think we're ridiculous and probably pretty stupid.
Yeah.
But we can do what they can do. Essentially, it just takes uh, ingenuity.
For this thought experiment though, I want to ask when you okay, so evolutionarily there is a progression through the 0 to 5 and higher. We all started off, and biologically we start off at the same process. So when I say evolutionarily, I'm talking about humanity as a whole starting off from nothing and becoming a single cell organism and then growing from there. We all do this in each one of our lives, but right now in humanity we have the chance to leave leave as a group, ascend as a group. So for this thought experiment, I'm thinking about, imagine yourself as a little sperm worm and you're just traveling to get to the egg. Do you remember if you were intelligent then? You were coming from this nothingness with quantum potentiality. You were that single point which started with a thought. You just had the drive to move forward, and then all creation from there was possible. But do you remember if you were intelligent or not? I don't remember if I have had any sort of intelligence. However, I'm me now, so it started somewhere. I'm thinking that these aliens, I like to call them interdimensional travelers or whatever, um, because I don't think they're alien to this place necessarily. Um, I'm thinking of them as those 2D sperm worms just having one mission, and that's to learn what the 3D is like. So they are traveling here, and we're catching them in our awareness just barely. Like, we're not really making, well, some people say they have made contact and things like that, but for the majority, it's sightings. And they blip in and out of 3D reality, or to our awareness, what's 3D reality. They don't stay that long. They're basically trying to learn what it's like to be a human so they can stay. I believe that they are becoming 3D. So they're stuck. They're not stuck. They're learning what the 3D is. So they're in like the first dimension / second dimension, and they pop or blip into our reality from time to time, and we sometimes get a glimpse of that. What's next for humanity, and what's potential for everybody to have in their lifetime as an individual, is ascension. They can ascend, or we can ascend as a group now, because that's just the timeline that we're in. It's the time frame for it. It's the end of the great year, basically. Or we've got thousands of years left, but in the age, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that long. And it could just be the end of Pisces. Pisces really could be the end, because it's going to the 11, which is the jumping off point, in my opinion. But
Pisces is the last in the zodiac, for those who don't know. And it's funny how all these concepts kind of um, mirror each other, from the spiritual to the science to the mathematics. All of it kind of fits together. It's really kind of interesting.
so we're in the third dimension, moving through the fourth dimension. We have already mastered the second dimension. We make movies, we can draw things that make it look like they're moving in 3D reality. It's all smoke and mirrors, but we've mastered the second dimension. I think that these aliens, or the things that we're seeing in the sky, are, UFOs and stuff, that I think that they are coming from a lower dimension. Not saying that they're necessarily bad or anything like that. I think angels have ascended, though, so I wouldn't call them angels. But they're just learning. They don't know what good and bad is yet. I think that they are on the way to figuring that out once they drop into space time, once they drop onto our
Do you think that
plane of existence.
good and bad is a third dimensional concept?
Yes.
A duality?
Yes.
Okay. So that they're just completely unaware of that, because in the 2 dimension there's not really a push and pull dynamic as far as being able to hurt others and others being able to hurt you.
Right. When you were a sperm worm, I don't think you were necessarily, it was survival of the fittest.
Right. It's not personal.
It wasn't personal.
It's
It was just who gets there first. And until you dropped into 3D reality, or dropped out of your mama, you didn't have a concept of what good and evil was. You were about to learn that. And
So
that's what the process is.
Ego comes with sense of self.
Yeah.
And we don't get that until the third dimension.
Yeah. And when we have the third dimension, we are already moving through time, which is the fourth dimension. Every single time we're in a dimension, we have the one that we just mastered right there at our disposal. We are living the one that we're living in, and we're experiencing a dripping of the next, or an understanding of the next, but it comes within time. At least right now it comes with time, because time that we're experiencing. Once we get to the fifth dimension, I believe that, okay, so people are either going to move into this fifth dimensional consciousness, and then when they die, they move into the fifth dimension and higher, or they never get to the point of realizing fifth dimensional awareness and will have to recycle themselves. So in this theory that I have about these aliens coming to Earth, they're waiting for a place to inhabit. A lot of people are ascending at one time this time. There's always been ascended masters, but they did it individually. They tried to lead others to do it, and throughout time there's been individuals that have done it.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Buddha.
Yes.
Krishna.
So
Moses.
Humanity has the chance to jump to a higher dimension or a higher timeline or ascend together as a group. Not everybody's going to do that, but a larger group this time, because it's just the time frame of life that in the stars, it's just the time for it.
It was written.
Yeah, it was written. We've gotten to a place.
Literally.
Yeah, we've gotten to a jump off point where it's available for everyone to do as a group, collective. And that's why this idea has been floating around so much, getting more traction, because
I think you can tell if you're on this jumping point, if duality doesn't exist to you. And our greatest duality in our 3D life is politics. And if you kind of find yourself outside of the whole left right bullshit, I think you're already on the right track.
yeah, being in that third point, that balance point, where you see the
Yeah.
bullshit on both sides, but you see the validity of both sides.
Right.
Both sides have a little truth. Both sides are also a lie. And if you step in the center point to see that both sides have a little bit of validity, but a little bit of falsity, then you rise higher above that and see that either side you go on, you're going to circle around and recycle yourself.
I love that I can have a conversation with my sister who is such a leftist and be like, Casey, I really don't care. And she's like, how can you not care? How can you not care? And the way I see it is these people, these figures that are put in front of us, uh, we're told that they're given so much power over our lives, but really the truth is that they don't have any power and hardly anything ever really changes. And it's all an illusion to keep us distracted. But from what? We don't always know.
Yeah, they keep us in a rat race so they have their own power, and
They definitely keep us hating each other for sure.
yeah, and the government is only going to stay there if we allow them to have control over us or power over us. And so they really want to just they want to continue being looked up to like a god. Government is trying to be God. And a lot of people give their attention, whatever you give your attention to, whatever you worship, if you're giving your attention to something, you're worshiping that thing. So whether you want to believe in God or the devil or something besides that, it doesn't matter whether you believe or don't believe. Whatever you're giving your time and energy to is real, and it's what you're worshiping. So if you're continuously gaining money and that's all you care about, and you're willing to even hurt other people to get ahead, you're worshiping Mammon you're worshiping Mammon, the god, the deity Mammon, because it's about money and it's about that. And whether you know it or not, it doesn't matter if you know that or not. You're putting their energy towards that thing.
Right. For any kind of personality trait, or good or evil, there is a god or goddess that represents that, and you can just think of that as what you're putting your energy and emotion into. And maybe that's not such a good thing, even if you don't know what they are or where they come from. They are the embodiment of that vibration. So figure that shit out. Right?
So yeah, I think that the alien. So we have a chance to ascend as a group, collective. It hasn't happened before in humanity. It hasn't really happened. I mean, maybe on the last timeline, but I'm talking about this timeline, starting off the great year kickoff. We're at the point where you either ascend higher or you die and you repeat the same cycle. But the reason why it's dire to switch it up now is because the cycle isn't going just back to, I'm just going to reincarnate into another life. No, you're going to reincarnate into another life from the very beginning. The very beginning is going to occur because the world also goes through a death and rebirth process. The world is dying right now, and it's going to reset. And the entire thing. So starting off with humanity as being single cell organisms and seeing what kind of life stems from that or arises from it. So you can definitely be part of that process, and a lot of us are. I could be very well haven't learned the lessons, and I might have to recycle too. But I'm definitely going to try not to do that.
These ideas sound cultish, and I know that that's probably just your vibration or your way of thinking if you're looking at it from that aspect. But truly, both of us, and I think I can speak for Crystal here. It there's no good or bad. It's just a choice. There's nothing that you have to do or that you should do necessarily. You're gonna do whatever's right for you. You're gonna expand on these ideas, however you do. And if you think all of this is bullshit and we're just sitting here talking out of our ass, that's cool too. Right?
Yeah, no, I back that. No shit.
I back that. That's cool.
It's basically like if you're in 5th grade and all your classes in 5th grade and you really haven't studied, you don't know anything about you're going to probably fail. And you know that you probably don't want to go towards, even though you probably want to get the shit over with, you can't really go to 6th grade and be there and obtain any information or understand what's going on. There's a reason why they fail you and go. I'm not really actually talking about the educational system because it's all bullshit and fucked up.
Yeah,
But
we're just talking about matriculation in general, like graduating to the next level.
yes, you can't graduate to a next level if you have no idea where you're even at right now.
Like, if you're still having arguments online with people who think differently than you and hating them for it, you probably have some growing to do. If you're unable to see anything from a spiritual aspect and only from a logical aspect, if your brain is constantly on one track all the time, you probably have some growing to do, right?
We're going to have a chance to ascend. And we always constantly do have a chance to ascend. But right now we have the chance to ascend as a collective. And basically, I want to continue trying to put these kind of thoughts in people's heads so they can do it themselves, so they can think this way or think a different way and make it make sense for them, because it makes sense to me. I don't want to just make somebody believe what I believe. It's just that I do believe that these ideas are like a point where you can think about it in your own way and think about, and you could take it a bad way and you could say it's bullshit, but that's not progression, is it?
No, that's not progressive at all. That's just, well, it's judgmental for one, which is, neither here nor there. But if that's the level you're at, you're not ready to explore these ideas. When I would talk to my mother about these ideas, she'd be like, okay, Cassandra, I get what you're saying, but what am I supposed to do about it? How am I supposed to do anything about any of this? And really, all it is setting an example and changing yourself and trying to live life on the vibration that is akin to you, or
Yeah, it's look it up in the Bible.
look some Bible
Talk
shit
some
up.
Jesus.
Talk to Jesus about it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no. One thing about I do like to explain the way of seeing the left and right is like being like the left and right brain. The government is trying to be like the god over you. If you go too far left, you wind up back in your same spot because there is a line doesn't go line forever, it curves. Walk all the way around, aiming to the left, and you'll end up right. And if you do the same thing on the other side, you'll end up in the same spot. And what it is you have to see that there's a middle point that you can ascend from. There's the veil right there. You can see beyond the veil when you step into the center point and see that both sides have truth, both sides are false, because they don't share the same truth when they should, they can't see eye to eye. All you have to do is understand that, and then you see a different path entirely. It's hidden because the government doesn't want to allow that as a path. That's why there's a two-party system.
I don't know. They take lots of niche concepts that really don't exist anymore, like racism. Racism isn't a big thing anymore. Nobody's just like,
It so is
No-
easy to take and use because it's
Yeah.
just duality and it's manipulation. It's just duality
your
pitting
skin's
one
black
against the
and
other.
my skin's white.
Yeah,
So let's hate each
that's
other.
the oldest trick in the book, and they
It's the
still
oldest
get
trick
it
in the
over on
book, and
people.
you guys are falling for it every time.
They fall for it every single time, and with
We're all still down in the fucking ditch together, right? Like, no
Right.
matter what color our skin is, we're all
and
fucking
what the
struggling.
war should be is a war on classism, not racism,
Yes, it's
not
always
on
been
gender
classism.
fit shit.
No.
They're trying to pin us against each other when it's like the class of being the elite. That is one that's one war I'll fight.
Yeah. Clearly, because they're not. They call them the 1%.
We're
but
all
they're not. They're not. They're not even really a part of us because they don't adhere to the collective standard at all.
Right.
They're
We're
just, they're
all under
outside.
God. Even
Yeah.
government should be under God. However,
Yeah.
they don't think that they are. So
And rich people and P Diddy. Puff Daddy has to answer.
Puff Daddy.
I think they just put a clone in his place. To be
The
honest
P
with you,
Diddler.
P Diddler's probably in the Bahamas soaking it up right now. That's just my personal opinion.
What, the P Diddler's in the Bahamas right now?
Yeah, like he's not in prison. Come on.
Right, and Jeffrey Epstein is probably sucking them off right this second.
Right,
too.
they're probably all chill somewhere, totally fine.
They're all in an orgy right now still. They'll never get out of that orgy. It's purgatory.
Literally.
But yeah, so, okay, one more thing about that is there's people that are going to ascend to the fifth dimension and higher, because right now you can't ascend to the fifth dimension as the dimension in its own. The fifth dimension is just an awareness,
Right.
awareness of after death.
Yeah, and I don't like to think of it as a place either. And none of this is necessarily a place. It's all more of a state of mind.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a place like as in a state of mind. Because right now we're in 3D bodies. We cannot go fly to fucking Mars, but we can go there in our light bodies, basically.
Yeah.
We can go there after we die, perhaps. But we can't fucking go there with our 3D bodies. We have to be in this third dimension for this to happen. So right now, we are going through time. When we die and time is experienced, or our time is up, that fourth dimension collapses into now we're in the fifth dimension. But right now, you can live with a fifth dimensional consciousness. The fifth dimensional consciousness is learning to let go of everything that's material around you, including people. It's the ability to change. It's the ability to constantly live with change and growth, and to let go of material possessions, to let go of everything, and know that that's only finite amount of time that you can be with that thing. And you'll even lose your body. So once you die, you're at the place where you could either ascend from that point, that jump off point, or you get recycled. And this is a crazy time to get recycled because the world is also going to be recycled. And so you're going to start over from square one in a baby body.
I don't want
whenever that baby body may occur, because that's not going to be a baby body right now. No, it's going to be a single cell organism on planet Earth at some level somewhere. It's not going to be really
Your
easy
ass
to comprehend.
is coming back as an amoeba, and you
Amoebas
have to go
on
through the fucking Middle Ages again. Okay, I don't want to be bubonic.
But so I think that these aliens, I'm going to say aliens, even though begrudgingly I'm saying aliens.
It's very begrudging.
These interdimensional travelers, I'll say, I believe that they're coming into our awareness more and more so because they are looking for a place to live. They've never experienced the third dimension for more than a couple seconds at a time. They're like dripping into our reality. And when people ascend, I feel like they're going to take over that body or that house, you know? They're going to take over your house. And people that ascend are going to gladly give them that house because they no longer need it. They've already got the awareness of no longer needing their body. They've grown above that. They've grown past that. However, there's going to be a lot of people that are on the verge of either understanding but not fully, or they don't want to give up their 3D material selves or their material possessions, and these aliens are still wanting a place to stay. So it might be a battle. It might be a battle between these two. So in that way, to think about it like that, imagine, you know how they say the alien invasion, or there's going to be a fake alien invasion, whatever. This alien invasion, in the perspective, in the awareness of a lot of people, may not be an invasion at all, because they're gladly giving up their bodies to house these newcomers.
Yeah.
The other half, or the other population that doesn't ascend, for them, it might come off exactly like an invasion because they don't want to give it up. So it's going to be a battle, I think.
Yeah, no, like, dude, I love sci-fi for this reason. Like, Attack of the Body Snatchers. If you don't know what it is, you should. But
Must not sleep, must warn others, right?
must not sleep, must not. You know, like, they've remade that movie so many times, and the reason why I think is because it's the idea that something's taking over your body. My favorite rendition is The Faculty with Josh Hartnett. Have you ever seen The Faculty?
Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that was the only, and Clea Duvall, which I have a huge crush on Clea
No,
Duvall.
I haven't. I don't think I have.
It's where the faculty gets taken over by aliens, but it's Attack of the Body Snatchers, just in high school form. It's a teenage horror flick from the 90s, the late 90s. Anyway, the point of it is that if you're fighting ascension, you're going to have a problem with something taking over your body. This is your body and you want to live out your life. But I think there's also another side to it, that there are going to be some people that look at it as like, finally, okay, time to move on.
Yeah.
And it'll happen peacefully. And in every version of Attack of the Body Snatchers, the main alien, the head parasite, always goes onto this tangent about how life will be so much better if you just let us in. You'll finally find your place and where you belong if you just let us in. And if you're coming from a place of fear, right, you're looking at this storyline and you're going, fuck, this thing's going to take over my body and take over my soul. If you're looking at another perspective, maybe this thing is just helping you ascend. And maybe I'm crazy for saying
Let it
that.
in, let it in.
Let it in, let it in. Okay, that was gay of me.
Yeah, I was doing some Aesop Rock.
And I couldn't stop thinking about Josh Hartnett in that movie, and his weird little hair and his fucking Mustang.
What do you think? What do you think about the concept of? I'm sure there's tons of perspectives that you can think of this way. You can think about this differently in any way you want to think about it. I don't fucking know anything. I don't. It's not like I know this. But if you're just using this thought experiment about the 2D creatures becoming 3D bodies, taking over the 3D eventually, and some are going to be battling for it, and others are going to ascend and give it up willingly. What are your thoughts on that? I really wanted to know if anybody thinks that that's a perspective that's valid at all.
It's valid.
Well, I want other people to, to think about it in that way, and then tell me if they think that is valid for them. Do you think that that's a interesting perspective, or do you think that there's a lot of validity to it, or none?